Scratch building is a very useful skill to have. It's cost effective, versatile, and superbly thought-provoking. In my experience, I've picked up on numerous methods and techniques for this hobby, so without further ado, this is Mr. Scrapyard's top 5 tips for scratch building. As always, you guys will hopefully find all things said in this video useful.
You didn't make it!
Not only are coffee stirrers, toothpicks and matchsticks great, but other stirrers and wooden components work wonders too. Barbecue sticks are great for canopy and walkway supports. Lollipop sticks are great for crates. Aha! It fucking rhymed! Anyway, lollipop sticks are great for crates and building supports, much like coffee stirrers. And thicker stirrers, such as those used for resin, also act as makeshift sturdiness for your builds. Although the latter can be difficult to cut with scissors, it's still worth seeking them out as you never know when they might come in handy. I recommend the former for canopy stands instead of toothpicks because they're much sturdier and easier to handle. Not only that, but they're completely flat on one end, so you may even save the time that would have been spent cutting both ends of a toothpick. And also, when applying them to canopies, I'd advise that you stick them to a stirrer first before doing so to the canopy itself. Not much else to say with these materials, as what I said about the other 3 apply to these 3, but there you go.
You didn't make it!
As vital as adding support to the sides of a build can be, doing such for corners is just as important. For this, I'd recommend guilty boxes, or at least something around the same thickness, as those types of boxes are thin enough to bend to shape yet thick enough to stay in one piece. Putting the parts of a building together this way makes the process easier, and although it may be noticeable for interior shots, you can likely hide this with engines and rolling stock. However, to avoid this bother, I'd recommend sticking these brackets to the very tops and bottoms of a building, as it's not as obvious to spot. It's also a great material saver, for you can use offcuts for this method rather than cutting new pieces altogether. The sturdiness of a structure helps it last longer, and thus results in a better build quality.
You didn't make it!
No matter what kind of structure you decide to build, always make the roof removable, because you never know when you might add extra bits to the inside. Doing this should be a pretty simple task to pull off. Step 1, make trusses. Step 2, draw up the roof pieces. And step 3, stick them together. In case the front and back or left and right of the building don't perfectly line up, draw around both ends and mark which truss is which. That way, the roof doesn't rise at a slight angle. However, this might not always be a guarantee. And this is optional, but for ease of construction, you could stick toothpicks to the corners of the roof. When making the trusses, I'd strongly advise around 4 to 6 for bigger builds. And for something minuscule... Why? And for something small and basic like a workman's hut, stirrers work well enough as brackets for the roof to slide into place. Ease of accessibility is very important for making or modifying your models, and if you can make a component removable, do so.
You didn't make it!
Not many people choose to make close-up models for their videos, and it's a shame because doing so can really make a video more interesting. The best thing about doing this is that, much like the show, you don't necessarily have to make a complete model, but if you do choose to, then that's always a plus. And what's a cab without controls, am I right? The point of close-up models is working at a bigger scale, giving you the chance to add the finer details that your toys don't have. As said before, paper clips and cotton buds are great for pipework, and making cab controls is really the best place to start. But some of you might be thinking to yourselves, this is too complicated, fuck this. And yes, you'd be right. This is complicated, but there's an alternative. Physical reference. For example, when making the backhead for my James cab, I used the Bachmann 3F as reference as it's a lot more simplistic than his close-up model from the show. Most people love to replicate the production of the show for their own content, and making close-up models will help you further achieve that.
You didn't make it!
Thin cardboard is extremely versatile as, not only is it great for covering up fuzzy textures of a build, but it can also act as a tactic for adding the smaller details to both buildings and customs. Take my Tidmouth doors for example. These were made with lollipop sticks, with details picked out with very thin strips of card, carefully cut at 0.2 centimeters in width. The same was done for my M-Wagon and Mineral Wagons, the latter of which being designed to be interchangeable with normal truck bodies. And as said in the intro, scratch building can be very cost efficient, and this especially applies for your stock. You can scratch build trucks, and also add details to the ones you already have. Creative control is the biggest driving force for scratch building, and when it comes to making stock and building accessories, your extra efforts can really pay off in the end. Just like last time, I hope you found this video useful, and if you have any further questions, you know where to ask. Be sure to check out my Instagram to see the things I make before they appear in my videos, ranging from showcases of customs to build logs of scratch builds, link below. And, as always, I hope you all enjoyed. You've been watching Scrapyard Studios, and I will see you soon.